Everybody, I'm Gujio, and I'm bringing you guys the next part of What If Beerus Woke Up After GT. Now, and of course, in the previous part, we saw the events of what happened after Beerus woke up and eventually fought Vegeta, and Vegeta was able to achieve a new power of a Super Saiyan God, a form that he himself was even surprised by. Of course, Vegeta decided to practically took Vegeta to train him in his planet. Well, of course, back on Earth, of course, both Pan and of course Boa would have been training. Of course, they knew that they were not able to stand a chance against the boys since they're still pretty young, but they decided to train and increase their powers, believing that maybe in the future they're able to practically protect Earth by themselves and not always rely on their friends or family. So they want to get stronger. Of course, they were not the only ones who want to get stronger. Gohan himself, alongside Krillin as well, wanted to train and increase their powers. And of course, they're able to do that. Even though Krillin was incredibly old and was getting to his age, Gohan did continue to train, realizing that his potential was wasted if he did not decide to train. He believed that if Piccolo was here, he most likely would have wanted him to train so he can protect everyone. Of course, after a couple of months of their training, eventually someone would have arrived, being none other than Beerus, the Galactic Patroller. Of course, Beerus will explain why he's here, and eventually, of course, Bo will go on, and of course, Krillin will explain to him that Majin Buu is no more. There's only Oob, who practically fused with Majin Buu. Of course, Beerus actually asks if he can actually see Buu, Oob, and of course, Bo will go on and Krillin decides to agree, but believing, of course, the Galactic Patroller since he did explain his job, and eventually everything else as well. Of course, when Beerus does meet Oob, he's actually pretty impressed that Oob is incredibly strong and powerful. Of course, he wants to test how strong Oob is, and of course, he's pretty impressed because Oob is actually able to push him a little bit further. But of course, he decides to also train Oob because of the danger that may presume. He also wants to maybe help Oob to practically unlock his memories of the Grand Kai, believing that the Grand Kai still lives inside of him because of the power of Buu. And of course, Oob decides to agree to this alongside Gohan decides to go as well since he wants to get stronger. Eventually, Mir decides to train both of them, and eventually actually reveals to them that he's actually an angel. Of course, it surprises both of them because they thought that we was the only one angel here. But Mir actually corrects them that he's actually an angel in training. He's not a full-fledged angel, but he's getting close to that level. He's still kind of weaker compared to all his siblings, but his power is incredibly more stronger than most mortals around the world. Of course, they ask him why he cannot actually stop this threat by himself, but Mirs explains that he cannot do that. Even though he's an angel in training, he cannot intervene in the matters of mortals. He can just slightly help, but that's only that. He decides to practically train both Oob and Gohan so they can increase their powers and maybe even face the threat of Moro. Of course, Mirs does explain about the threat of Moro and the ancient past, with the Kaikai Motoru that the Grand Kai used against Moro to practically still have his power. Of course, this surprises both Gohan and Oob. And Oob actually sees that maybe he has even more magic than he actually originally thought. So he decides to practically train with Beerus. Oob mostly focuses on meditation and increasing his enhancement on both magic and ki, while Gohan continues to increase his base strength. Believing that he must grow stronger because of his power. He's not able to get ultimate. He's not been utilizing it for a really long time. He cannot even tap into it because of so much long time that he's not been training. So Gohan wants to train with Beerus so he can get ultimate back. And eventually, after a couple of months of training with Beerus, Gohan was able to get ultimate back, finally able to get stronger and back to his prime, if not even further beyond. Oob is now getting much more better with his power, and eventually continues to increase his power. Of course, both Oob and Gohan would then go to Planet Namek, where Moro would be. Oob has been training a lot and is also constantly meditating with himself, so he can practically tap into his inner power, being the Grand Kai himself. The Grand Kai, of course, did explain to Oob that he can tap into his powers, but it will be pretty strenuous and draining to his body. But since Oob's body is actually much stronger than his back then, he must be able to endure the drawback of the Kai Kai Matoru. Of course, the Grand Kai explains to Oob that the original drawback of the Kai Kai Matoru to Akai's was that it practically shortens their lifespan and, of course, decreases their energy and the ability to utilize it. But since Oob is practically not a Kai, but is actually half a Kai and is a human, he has a much more better potential to utilize the Kaikai Motoru without the drawback of practically spending most of his years, making him that he would indeed have to spend all of his ki to utilize the technique, but he can utilize it much more better and efficiently than the Grand Kai did back then. Of course, the Grand Kai does able to help Buu practically get the technique done in a couple of months of their training. Of course, Buu is able to practically get the hold of the Kaikai Motoru and eventually master it slightly. He has not mastered fully because he still needs some training from the Grand Kai, but with his help, he's able to practically increase his ability and control over it. and eventually he's able to master it. And of course, they go to now so they can stop Moro. But they're actually kind of too late because Moro's actually absorbed so many planets before they arrived that he's already almost reached his youth. Of course, he's also absorbed 7-3 because he wanted to be prepared if he is to face the Grand Kai again, believing that he maybe still been alive or maybe even died. So he wanted to probably make sure. But of course, Oob decides to face off against Moro. Of course, Moro is unimpressed by the human, but eventually actually senses his power and the magic within him. He realizes that Oob is not a normal human, but he's actually half a Kai. Because of this, of course, he tries to utilize his abilities and magic to practically steal some of Boo's power. But because of Oob practically being the combination between Majin Buu, he's able to practically resist Moro's magic and eventually even cancel it out with his own. Of course, as surprises Moro, he tries to practically use more magic on Oob, but Oob just cancels out due to his natural power. Of course, Oob tells Moro that won't work for him. Of course, Oob punches Moro, but Moro is able to catch the fist, saying to Oob that he's incredibly strong, but compared to him, he has absorbed countless of planets and has grown stronger and has regained his youth. So, if Oob tries to practically stop him, it's no use. Oob realizes that he may have been on the back foot, because he cannot use the Kaikai Matoro. He needs a lot of time to practically charge it. At least a second, but Moro will not give him even a second as they continue to battle. They'll battle and eventually reach outer space. Of course, Moro able to push back a lot, but Oob will try to probably do his best to probably keep up with Moro. Oob believes that maybe he will be able to push him back with something else. Oob been thinking about something, a technique that his master Goku told him a long time ago. It was back then when they were inside the time chamber. Of course, Goku believed that maybe Oob will be able to probably utilize it much more better due to his practically being part of Majin, who was likely able to help him continue to increase his power, and of course to utilize the technique much more better than he did back then. So Oob has to practically utilize the technique that his master taught him, being none other than the Kaioken. Of course, this was a particularly strenuous technique, but due to Oob's regeneration thanks to Majin Buu, and due to his enhanced magic, he's now able to endure more than times 10, if not even higher than that. And Oob tries to utilize the power of the Kaioken and utilize times 10 to even times 20. At this point, he's actually stronger than Moro physically and is much more faster than him as well. Of course, Moro still has the advantage on experience with magic, but due to Oob's magic being much stronger than Moro's, he's able to cancel this out, even no matter how much Moro tries to utilize it. Of course, both their battle will continue on, but eventually Oob was able to get an opening as Gohan fires a blast at Moro's back, able to injure him slightly, but Moro just get irritated and fire a blast at Gohan. Gohan was able to dodge the attack barely, but he realizes that he's really falling behind even Oob. Oob is of course one of the strongest people on Earth, but Gohan knows that he will be able to get stronger, he just needs to push himself even further. Of course, Oob continues to battle with Moro, and eventually, with the opening of Gohan, he's able to use the Kaikai Motoro. Of course, he's able to utilize the power of the Kaikai Motoro, and eventually, Oob actually decides to utilize it multiple times. He uses it at least 20 times at the same time. This is something that Oob has not been doing. He's only utilizing the Kaikai Motoro inside his mind at least once, but using it at least 20 times will most likely drain him of all of his ki. And after he does that, Moro is reverted back to his old age. Not even 7-3 which he absorbed was left. Because of the Kaikai Motoro being fired 20 times, it practically made Moro to be back to his old age, making him so much powerless that he can only fly and not utilizing his magic. His magic was completely sealed that to a point that he has no magic, just control over the ki. Of course, Moro was in shock and realized that his powers are gone. He can no longer feel his magic. It's completely gone. There's nothing left. Moro was in shock as Oob realized that he can now arrest Moro. Of course, Oob does not want to kill Moro because he knows that the people believes in second chances because he has learned that from his master. So he believes that he should arrest Moro and make him pay for his crimes by being arrested. Of course, Moro tries to fight Oob, but due to a power gap between them, Oob does not even need Kaioken to practically fight with Moro because of Moro's magic being sealed. He can't absorb anything anymore, making him physically weaker than even Oob when he holds back. So Oob decides to hold back to practically counter Moro. Of course, Moro tries to fight Oob, but before he can practically do anything, Moro gets shot in the chest with a powerful hit. Of course, Oob is confused with what is happening, but after another hit, Moro is killed and his body falls to the atmosphere of Planet Namek. Oob is of course confused and looks around, and eventually spots none other than Granola. Granola of course just looks at Oob and tells him to not get in the way of his job. He has been tasked to kill Moro for a really long time, and it has been really hard as well to track him since he has always been disappearing thanks to his magic. Of course, Oob is pondering who Granola is. He asks him if he's a galactic patroller, but Granola explains he's nothing like that. he is practically an assassin, so Oob should not get in his matter. Of course, Oob tries to apparently stop Granola, but with an easy counter, Granola blocks his attack. Oob is of course shocked because Granola can actually easily block his attack, but Granola tells him that he is really weak. But he will not kill him, since he is not his target, so he better not get in his way. Before Oob can say anything, Granola disappears and eventually fully kills Moro. Oob of course in shock realizes that Granola is someone who practically do anything to practically kill a person. Of course, Granola would then disappear and eventually leave nothing of his trace behind. Of course, Ubu would then return back to both Gohan and Beerus, and eventually explain the entire situation. Of course, both of them are surprised, and even Beerus will be surprised that the famous assassin of Universe 7 is actually appeared here. Of course, he knows about Granola. He's practically make a big reputation for himself, being one of the best assassins throughout his universe. Of course, Beerus knows about another assassin which works in Universe 7, but Granola's tactic of practically dealing with his threats is much more different than that of one from Universe 6. Of course, the opponent what Beerus means, but Beerus tells them that he will explain at a later time. For now, they must focus on the task and maybe even retrieve Moro's body, because it may have been dead, but Moro's magic may be still inside his body. Of course, Oob tells that he did indeed seal in Moro's entire magic, but he also maybe have kind of erased it as well. So of course, Beerus wants to check still. But after some checking, Beerus actually realizes that his magic is completely gone. Of course, Boo is actually surprised that Moro's magic is completely gone. Beerus explains that maybe due to Oob practically utilizing the power of the Kakamaru so much, it practically has sealed Moro's power to a point that it's practically transferred to Oob. Of course, Oob does feel slightly stronger, but comparable to he was when he fought Moro in the beginning, he does not feel that much different, but he's still pretty powerful. The only Oob then decided to go back to Earth, but still train with Beerus so they can increase their powers. Believing that maybe with the help of Beerus, they're able to even catch up to Vegeta if he's still training with Whis and Beerus at the time. But this is the end for this part, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara, my Z fans.